Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show, stories about life in the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи. So today we're going to talk about Perestroika and sex in the Soviet Union. But before we begin, I would like to ask you, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. If you follow Ushanka Show, you may remember that I mentioned quite a few times that the final years of the Soviet Union, so late 80s, were the most exciting years in my life and probably in the life of the most Soviet citizens. After Comrade Mikhail Gorbachev introduced Perestroika and glasnost in the USSR, people in the Soviet Union had an opportunity to start watching Western movies. I already talked on this topic in my video how Hollywood helped to finish off the Soviet Union, and if you somehow missed that video, I'll post the link in the comment section below this video. Okay, so here you're looking at the short article which was published in one of the Soviet newspapers back in 1991. The title of this article: «Оказывается, волокжане очень впечатлительный народ. As it turned out, the people of Vologda town are very susceptible people». I hope I said this word correctly. Susceptible. Впечатлительный. And Vologda is the city in the northern western Ukraine with population about 300,000 people. And the article says, in March of 1991, so it's still Soviet Union, the inhabitants of Vologda for the very first time watched the erotic movie on their TV. It was shown by the commercial TV channel. So that's about that time, 1990, 1991, when we had back in the Soviet Union, the very first commercial private TV channels, and they were over the air, not the cable TV. So here in March of 1981, one of those private channels showed some erotic movie. Erotika, we say, эротический film. I can only guess what movie they showed in Vologda, but as far as I remember, the list of erotica movies was pretty short back then. So quite possibly it was Греческая смоковница, or English title The Fruit is Ripe, 1976 German erotica movie. So as you see, the Soviet Union was quite behind the curve. In 1991, for the very first time, people were watching 1976 movie. Or possibly it was Emmanuel, 1974 French erotic show that was also very popular in the USSR. Another possibility is a Hollywood flick from 1986 with Kim Basinger, 9.5 Weeks. I saw that movie. Emmanuel and The Fruit is Ripe, I didn't watch those yet. I might have to catch up, but I did see 9.5 Weeks and I liked it a lot. And yet another possibility, another movie with Mickey Rourke from 1989, The Wild Orchid. I have a couple of good stories about that movie, but let's finish the article first. Okay, so in March of 1991, the inhabitants of Vologda city saw the erotic movie for the very first time, and can you imagine that? Exactly 9 months later, in the city there was a explosion of births. In a weekly time, before and after the December 16th, the amount of birth increased 40%. So 9 months after March of 1991, when the people of Vologda saw for the very first time erotica, there was 40% increase in childbirth in that city. Isn't it something? And I just remember something. During the Gorbachev time, in the end of the 80s, there was a totally unexpected baby boom in the Soviet Union. Prior to that, the birth rate was going down and down, but there was like a small baby boom explosion. And people were saying that's because Gorbachev started anti-alcohol campaign. So men were bored because they couldn't buy vodka. So they got busy in the bedrooms with their wives, and that's why they had a baby boom. But maybe, just maybe, that baby boom was because of the movies like The Fruit is Ripe and Wild Orchid and 9.5 Weeks started making their way into the Soviet Union, into the Soviet minds and make poor Soviet people horny. It's impossible to build the world communism when you are horny. Okay, so let's talk about the Wild Orchid, Dika Orchidea, 1989 erotic Hollywood flick with Mickey Rourke. I have quite a hilarious family story about this movie. So my mother's co-worker, another lady, she went to see that movie in the movie theater and she loved it so much. My guess, they came home after the movie, had a lot of fun in the bedroom. So she told my mom that she must take her husband and go watch that movie. So my mom was so excited. They bought a ticket. They went to the movies. So came back and my mom was so pissed because she was just too, I guess the word would be prudent. And she did not enjoy all that erotic stuff that her coworker liked so much. So it didn't work for us. But Wild Orchid was a total disaster for my family. And many years later, when I already lived and worked in the United States, I had my own Wild Orchid story. That was kind of hilarious. So back in the early 2000s, I did a lot of local moving, working for my father-in-law. And we picked up this one account. So there was a phone call and the lady was on the phone and she said she was a realtor from nearby town and she had some moving to be done. She wanted to hire us. So when we, made an appointment, she said, well, take this highway, Red Arrow Highway, and before New Buffalo, there'll be a store called the Wild Orchid. So my ears kind of perked up like, oh, is that an adult store? And she's like, oh my God, why some people thinking this is the adult store? It's my, home furnishing store. So I couldn't help but laugh. And like, ma'am, you might want to consider renaming your store and you might want to rent a video called The Wild Orchid and watch that steamy Hollywood show to realize why some people think it's adult store. And I was like, I would know how you don't know about the Wild Orchid. And I actually did a lot of moving jobs for that real estate lady. She turned out to be quite an attractive one. And I actually had the most romantic moving job in my life with her. And what happened that we came to finish the moving job that other guys couldn't finish for her. So that was her own house, but they already disconnected power. So we started moving like 8 p.m. and soon it became dark. And since there was no power, she set up candles all over the floor. So you see this attractive woman setting up candles on the floor all over the house. It was just really cool and almost like Wild Orchid erotic. And she had her Land Rover shining lights in the front door. So that was all kind of this dark summer night. There's smells in the air, candles, and this beautiful woman, and we were humping dressers and beds and shit. Anyway, I kind of drifted away from the main topic, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Kind of hilarious article, and I see that happening all over the country when people for the very first time watched some skin on a screen, and husbands got horny, wives got horny, and we had that little Gorbachev baby boom. Okay, well, I hope you liked this video. Once again, I want to ask you, please don't forget to like this video, please subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.
Потому что если дороги будут, то по ним неприятель проедет и прямо в сердце России попадет.
Я с ними согласен абсолютно.